your ruler.
Sold.
Your lands, your possessions, your very lives will gladly be given in tribute to me.
What's up, everybody? Okay, so this video is going to be the Critical Drinker Disney's collapsing empire reaction, which Disney's been self-destructing themselves for quite some time. Seemingly like they don't care about money. It would seem like they don't care about money. It seems like they enjoy burning money. Well, you know, like they want to push their, you know, WEF propaganda rather than actually make as much money. Because if they were to make better stuff and actually give the fans what they want, they would make far more money. I mean, the last time I saw a Disney or Marvel movie in the movie theater was 2018, because they absolutely refused to support them. But anyways, let's jump into this video and check it out. All right. And bam. All right.
My friends, something is rotten in the state of Disney. I mean, I know that's about as obvious as saying that Saturday Night Live isn't all that funny anymore, but it goes a bit deeper than their simple creative output. All that stuff is just a symptom of a much larger problem, a problem that runs to the very core of the company. And if the recent news about power struggles at the highest levels, disastrous financial performance, and even rumours of layoffs and selling some of their biggest IPs are to be believed, that problem is getting harder and harder to ignore, especially if you happen to be one of the company's board of directors, which I'm fortunately not, so excuse me while I have a good old laugh at their expense. The first and most obvious of the problems facing Disney are financial. Numbers don't lie, after all, unless you happen to be a Hollywood accountant with a very expensive habit to fund, and the numbers released to the public paint a grim picture indeed. Over the past 2 years, Disney's share price has declined almost 50%, from an all-time high of nearly $200 a share in early 2021 to just $110 in the present day. Damn, at one point it was down to less than $90 a share. You don't need to be a financial whiz kid to know that that's a disastrous fall in value, and it reflects the growing lack of investor confidence in the company. So how exactly did this happen? Well, for a start, Disney's been losing money. Badly. Their strategy of buying up every single studio and IP on the market at huge expense and absorbing them into their generic corporatized monopoly was a great idea in theory, assuming that the things they bought actually turned a profit. And well, the two flagship IPs bought under the Disney banner are Marvel and Star Wars, obviously, and in Marvel's case it definitely seemed like a good investment at first.
It was.
The MCU ballooned into the biggest cinema franchise in history, making frankly embarrassing amounts of money for Disney. Well, until recently at least. The problems didn't really begin until Phase 4. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals all failed to break even. Thor Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever were at best muted successes that totally didn't justify
I still haven't even watched
$250 million that got invested into each. Let's be real here, earning $760 million at the box office against a $250 million budget
Wakanda
isn't
Forever.
the win that you think it is once you factor in the costs of promotion and distribution. The only movie to achieve the kind of massive success that the MCU used to enjoy on a regular
No Way
basis
Home
was
was
No
really
Way
good.
Home, which wasn't even made by Marvel and only netted them a fraction of the film's profits.
It wasn't?
Either way,
I didn't know
none of this
that.
could hide the fact that the MCU has been a franchise in decline ever since Endgame, with growing fan apathy towards the endless list of upcoming projects, and the tidal wave of rushed, low-quality, low-effort Marvel content that's flooded Disney Plus has only degraded the brand even further. Tell me, how excited were you for Ms. Marvel, or She-Hulk, or Hawkeye? And as for Lucasfilm, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you saw a Star Wars movie at the cinema? Do you really think we'd be seeing a 4-year gap
Force
if Rise of
Awakens.
Skywalker had made billions of dollars? Let's be honest, the
Here's what
financial
happened.
trajectory of the
Here's what happened. Also, I'm really shocked. I didn't know that. I didn't know that No Way Home was not made by was not made by Marvel, because that says a lot. No Way Home was a freaking amazing blockbuster, and it says a lot that Marvel didn't even make that. So that's crazy. But yeah, the last Star Wars movie I saw in the movie theater was The Force Awakens, right? Before that, it was Revenge of the Sith. I remember I was in high school and I saw Revenge of the Sith, a midnight premiere with 2 other friends. We went to the midnight premiere. And I remember all us looking at each other as we watched Anakin slowly become Darth Vader. We were all like, "What the fuck? Oh my gosh!" And then I also went to the midnight premiere of The Force Awakens, and I remember sitting in The Force Awakens, slowly being filled with contempt. And by the time the movie was over, I was like, man, Star Wars is dead, dude. They just killed it. And I know for most people it did it by, I don't know, I was telling people from the jump, from The Force Awakens, I was saying, dude, it's Star Wars is dead. They killed it. It's ruined. Right? But for most people, it took them to see The Last Jedi before they finally agreed, right? But I was saying that shit from the jump, and everyone else was like, you gotta give it a chance, you know. This was just the intro. You gotta give it a chance. No, dude. There's so many things wrong with it. Anyways, so after that, I did not see The Last Jedi in the movie theater. I waited for home release. I did not see Rise of Skywalker either. I waited for home release. Anyways, back to the video.
Sequel trilogy was almost as depressing as taking a walk down the high street in Glen Rothis. And if that wasn't bad enough, Solo became the first Star Wars feature film in history
Still
to
haven't
actually
even seen that
lose
one.
money. It's pretty obvious that Disney's hopes of building the Star Wars brand into a second MCU that they could farm for insane amounts of cash turned out to be about as realistic as Natalie Portperson's arms in Love and Thunder. That's right, Nat. Why go to the gym when you can let computers do all the work for you? Bullshit! Under the not-so-wise stewardship of Kathleen Kennedy, one of the strongest IPs and biggest pop culture influences in cinema history has been reduced to a collection of cheap, low-effort and mostly irrelevant TV shows on an unprofitable streaming service. Well done, guys. It's no wonder there's now rumours swirling around that Disney's actually considering selling off the Star Wars brands.
That would be
something
awesome.
that would have been absolutely unthinkable just a few years ago. Honestly, I think
That
it
would
would be
be
hilarious
great.
if
That would
George
be
Lucas
great.
bought it back at a massive discount and then shit-canned everything that they've done since 2015.
Completely
oh, well, a man can
retconned
dream,
it.
can't he? And if you think for one second that Indiana Jones 5 is somehow going to put
Dude.
Lucasfilm back on
If George Lucas were to buy Star Wars back from Disney at a huge discount, that would be a master move. They paid this much, and then he buys it back for half that, and then retcons everything, and says, "Oh, none of that happened, right? And now we're gonna continue the Star Wars franchise based off of the expanded universe books, right? And all the lore that existed before Disney got their stinking hands on it, right? That would be freaking amazing."
top. Well, all I can say is bless your heart, you sweet summer childs. Nobody, and I mean nobody in the entire universe wants to see a geriatric Indiana Jones get humiliated and replaced by a goofy British comedy actress whose main claim to fame is voicing an insufferable droid in a failed Star Wars movie. On the TV side of things, Disney Plus hasn't exactly been the roaring financial success they were hoping for either. Yeah, they definitely attracted a lot of customers when the service launched back in 2020, because let's be honest here, it was in the middle of a global pandemic and there was fuck all else to do. They had themselves the perfect captive audience, and that audience needed to be entertained. Unfortunately, Disney's tactic of pumping out as much content as humanly possible, regardless of quality, only served to damage the brands they were trying so hard to exploit. But more importantly, all of this content was expensive to produce, and that expense wasn't recouped by subscription fees, which is why their streaming services ultimately lost the company $4 billion last year alone. Even a company as large as Disney can't sustain that kind of loss indefinitely. Things weren't much better in the theme park world either. Obviously, they all had to be shut down for a good chunk of 2020 because of the unspecified virus of unknown origin. Fair play, not much you can do about that one, but just as attendance was finally picking up again, Disney went and picked a fight with the governor of Florida over a political bill that they had absolutely nothing to do with. The results? Bye-bye special tax status for Disney World, and hello higher operating costs and price hikes.
Fuck.
Now, call me crazy if you like, many people have, but I generally operate on the idea that entertainment companies should probably just stick to entertainment and not involve themselves in politics one way or the other. Because the moment you do, not only do you risk making enemies out of powerful people who can totally fuck up your day, but you also divide your audience in half. We live in a polarised world, and the moment you come down on one side of the political divide, then most people on the other side will automatically hate you. It's dumb, but it's the world we live in, unfortunately. And ironically enough, Bob Chapek's first instinct at the time was to do exactly that. Stay the hell out of the situation and keep Disney politically neutral. Unfortunately, the activists who somehow managed to pass themselves off as Disney employees had other ideas, and after a series of well-publicised strikes and protests, Chapek was forced into a humiliating climb down and a financially devastating conflict with the Florida government.
You don't understand. They're in the WEF.
A lose-lose situation.
Disney is in the WEF, dude.
Things weren't looking particularly good on the animated front either. A string of high-profile flops last year threw Disney Animation Studios into absolute chaos. Turning Red cost $175 million to make and earned back just $20 million. Strange World cost $180 million and earned just $73 million. While Lightyear cost $200 million to make and earned $220 million back. Nowhere near what it needed to be to break even. All three of these movies lost money for the company, massive amounts of money in some cases, and further damaged the Disney brand in the eyes of consumers. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Disney were the gold standard in animated storytelling. These days they seem to stagger from failure to failure in the same way that I stagger home after a night out. The only thing missing now is for them to fall asleep in a gutter and piss themselves. Now, obviously that's not to say that every single Disney project in recent years has been an abject failure. I mean, damn, Avatar 2 made over $2 billion, whatever you think of its actual story, but successes like this haven't been big enough or frequent enough to compensate for the growing list of high-profile failures, and the general trend in pretty much every area of their business has been downwards. There's no getting away from it anymore. Disney is a brand in decline, bloated and overcomplicated, meandering with no clear sense of purpose, prioritizing quantity over quality, bereft of original ideas and coasting instead on former successes, and getting caught up in divisive political controversies that are just bad for business. But hey, for every action, there's a reaction, and it turns out that a Disney reaction comes hard and fast, just like me with Tatiana. First came the news that Bob Chapek was out as CEO, which Disney helpfully announced in the middle of the night on a Sunday. Damn, there's ninja assassins that aren't as brutally efficient at dispatching people as these guys. And in his place, Bob Iger was once more king of the Disney Hill and given the mission of making the company profitable again. I guess we're just going to ignore the fact that Iger was largely responsible for the problems that Chapek spent most of his tenure trying and failing to solve.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
But I guess in times of crisis, people instinctively turned to what they knew. And what they knew was Bob Iger. Unfortunately, not everyone felt the same way. See, it's at this point in our story that a new player takes to the stage. And that player's name is Nelson Peltz. Who the hell's Nelson Peltz? Well, he's a business tycoon with decades of investment experience and a history of launching hostile takeovers of failing companies and returning them to profitability. He's basically a hard-nosed businessman who doesn't care who he has to fire or upset along the way. His goal is to make money, and in Disney's case, he's what's known as an activist investor. No, not that kind of activist. Those are the kinds of people that got Disney into the situation they're in. Peltz could see the writing on the wall when Bob Iger was reinstated as CEO, and his solution is to replace him with someone more capable and efficient. The problem is, he needs a seat on the board of directors first, hence the campaign that he's launched. Restore the magic. The aim of this thing is to sway enough of the board to vote out one of their own members so that he can take their place and use his newfound power to call for a vote of no confidence in Iger. And by all accounts, he's actually gaining a lot of traction here. See, funnily enough, it turns out that most investors with a big stake in a company care less about ideology and more about actually making money.
You serious?
And by appealing to them, Peltz and his ideas are starting to gather momentum. And honestly, I think this is exactly what Disney needs. Just like Warner Brothers needed David Zaslav to come in and clean house when they'd pretty much exhausted their resources trying and failing to compete with Marvel, so Disney needs someone like Nelson Peltz to jettison the dead weight and get them back to doing what they used to be so good at. Entertaining people. Because here's the thing, despite all my joking around, I don't really want them to fail. I don't want Disney to collapse into financial ruin and irrelevancy, but like so many other people, I recognise that what they've been doing over the past few...
And here's why. Because honestly, I don't think it matters. I think the WF is too powerful that no matter who tries to turn this thing around and turn this ship around and say, hey, you know what, let's go back to, like, remember when we actually used to make good movies and masterpieces that lasted through the decades, you know, remember that? Oh no, but here's the thing, they gotta push that WF propaganda, because they're one of the companies that has joined the WF. Right? There's a list of companies that have all pledged themselves to the WF, and just so no matter who tries to come and says, "Hey, let's turn this around and make money for the shareholders," it's not going to work.
Few years isn't working. People aren't buying what Disney are trying to sell them now. They can either learn from that and change what they're offering, or they can push ahead with a failing strategy until eventually they run out of resources to keep doing it. The choice, as they say, is theirs. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now. The entire universe wants to see a geriatric Indiana Jones get humiliated and replaced by a goofy...
Yeah, so that was good. That was good. But I appreciate you guys for watching this video with me and making it this far. If you've made it all the way to the end here, please like, subscribe, and all that. Follow me on Twitch, and I appreciate you guys. Peace out.